Greetings. I'm Robert Fuchs, attorney at law, and today's discussion is the Freedom Act, a solution to helping bring immigrants legally into the United States so that we don't have to spend all that money at the border. We don't have to spend all that money deporting immigrants and paying judges, paying individuals to locate them and deport them. Unfortunately, for the last more than 40 years, almost 45, 50 years, uh, there has been no way to fix the immigration system. The Congress has made no effort at all. Every year they think of a new idea on how to make it more difficult to enter the United States legally. The only things that perhaps the Democrats do sometimes is do something like DACA, which is basically an employment authorization. It does not lead to legal status. TPS, another case where they keep you here, but you can never become legal unless you somehow leave the country and re-enter legally. So unfortunately, Congress and the U.S. government has done nothing to create a system that will legalize immigrants and make sure they enter legally. But there is a solution, and that's the Freedom Act. It's a proposal of law that was put together by a group of individuals for the National Coalition of Dignity and Amnesty for Undocumented Immigrants. But unfortunately, that group no longer exists, and I was the attorney who put together the proposal. It's something that we brought to Congress, we brought to the White House, but unfortunately it did not gather traction because neither party wants to solve the problem of having a working legal immigration system, one that does not take forever to bring people here to join their family, to bring workers to employers. The Freedom Act basically is a system where people don't have to wait the years. They come in a lot quicker after being petitioned under a temporary resident visa that allows them to work, to travel, to pay taxes, to enter by the plane, not at the border, to be reunited with their family. Instead of waiting years, an employer needs you today, and the employer has to wait 5, 6 years to come in. And usually the system is rigged so that the case gets denied. Unfortunately, the people who are working here are usually working off the books, and it's not reflected in the employer's taxes. Where if they came under a system where they would be recognized that they're working for that employer. And one thing that the government and individuals, politicians from the White House, throughout the United States, different politicians, they don't want to admit that there is no system that works. But there is a proposal, it's called the Freedom Act, and that allows people to enter under a temporary resident status, and then they can switch over if they've committed no crimes, if they've paid their taxes, if they remain employed. If you're unemployed for a brief period of time, then you would have to leave and re-enter when you found employment again. So this would create a system that is legal, but also as similar to what happened under the first legalization, would help create a transition status for the immigrants who are here undocumented. If they're not criminals, if they're hardworking, if they pay their taxes, and if they haven't paid, they have to pay those now. It'll be a great revenue producer here in the United States by having individuals pay for taxes that they haven't been paying. It would be at least a 5-year period that they would have to show that they've been paid. So that's really the idea, to have people on a path to legalized status, and then from there on a path to residency, which is the green card, and then on a path to citizenship. We want people involved. One of the big problems we have in this country is that we don't have enough consumers. A lot of baby boomers are retiring, they have limited incomes, they don't want to be spending their money. These young immigrants and their families, they want to buy houses, they want to travel, they want to purchase things in the store. And unfortunately, now they're limited by their undocumented status. We want to have people participating in our society in a legal way. And that's what the effort was made when I was part of the National Coalition. We really tried to figure out a system. We went to the White House, we went to Congress, and there was support, but not enough from a lot of the mainstream nonprofit groups, unfortunately, they didn't really support it. They said it's too hard to pass legalization and to pass a reform bill. But that's exactly what we need. Right? That led us to the system we are now, the system of rounding up immigrants, deporting them, getting rid of judges. You know, the craziness that's happening now didn't need to happen. Unfortunately, the groups that should have been supporting immigration reform, legalization, weren't doing it. And hopefully we return to a time when people recognize the need. So basically what the Freedom Act would do is it starts off uh, dividing people up to different groups. If you have a spouse, then if you submit a petition, if you wait 6 months, that family member can come in. They don't have to wait outside. They can be reunited with their family. They're not residents yet. They're a temporary resident status. They're not green card holders, but they're allowed to remain here and work legally. And then eventually they'll get their green card, but they won't be here illegally. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get employers to sponsor somebody. They file a petition. They're being processed. And while they're being processed, they can work. And the employer that way can show the money that they're able to pay the person instead of paying people off the books. They can pay taxes. All those things are helpful. And that's what we need. We need to stop dancing around the problem, stop blaming immigrants because we can't fix the immigration system. There exists a proposal of law right now, the Freedom Act, which is it is family reunification, economic expansion, documented, organized management. Those are all the things we need. We need to grow the economy. We need to reunite families, and we need to have it documented so we know who's here in the United States. That's why the people take advantage, the smugglers take advantage of people being forced to enter at the border. The drug dealers, the more people enter illegally, it makes it easier for them to bring in drugs. Then we have a system where they don't have to enter that way. They can fly in with their temporary resident status, and they can gradually work their way into proving they're not criminals, that they're taxpayers, that they're good family people, and most of them are. If you see the people, the percentage, it's less than 1% that are committing these crimes. It's a really minor section of the immigrants who are creating these crimes and who are really criminals. Sure, there might be somebody with a DWI. That's not the person who's somebody we're afraid of bringing in. If they commit some crimes, then they'll probably not be allowed to remain in the United States. And that's the other thing. They have to stay crime-free. They have to pay their taxes. They have to be employed. All those things are important. So look at the diagram we presented. And if you have any questions, you can call myself or ABC Latino, and we'll be able to speak to you about it. Thank you.